Salut tout le monde! Welcome back to Unintentionally Frenchified. Today's video is inspired by an article that I read in The Local a couple weeks ago that was talking about all of those English words that the French are condemning because they are coming up in the French language too often. So think of words like le French tech, or there's a government platform that's called French Connect. Okay, so these types of words. And I'm actually going to switch it around. And today's video is going to talk about the 6 French words that I absolutely keep in my vocabulary whenever I'm speaking English. I want to hear in the comments below if you guys keep French words in your native language, if you keep some of the words that I keep. What are your thoughts? I will find you guys all in the comments. And this is the perfect time to subscribe for the channel as well if you have not subscribed yet. So do it now, the little bell, ding, ding, ding. And otherwise, c'est parti. So the first word is dossier. So a dossier does have an exact translation into English from French, which means like a file. You know, you have to put it together, a file with a bunch of different paperwork. And I have actually heard people say dossier too. I don't hear that a lot. That could be like British English versus American that I didn't hear as much. But in any case, maybe you can say dossier, but whether I say dossier with an American pronunciation or file, I feel like the word just doesn't do it justice if I don't say dossier. Because in French, often there are dossiers for everything that you have to do with the government. And there's lots and lots of dossiers to do, whether you're immigrating or whether you live in France. And so because often these dossiers have, say, 10 pieces of paper you have to put in them, and they have to be, I don't know, sometimes you have to find papers from like 40 years ago. They asked for like my parents' marriage certificate at one point. And all of these paperworks that you need to get together have to have been issued within the last 3 months. So you're on like a very tight time schedule. Otherwise, said dossier cannot be processed. So just the word dossier kind of for everybody in France, like gives you like these little shivers up your arm, and it brings on like a very mix of emotions. So no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm putting it together for the government, whether it's something at work, whether it's something personal, I feel like I always have to use the word dossier because I just really need the drama behind it. Well, learning a second language does come with the negative side effect of accidentally slipping in or purposely foreign words into your normal vocabulary. It also comes with so many positive side effects as well to being bilingual. But I know, as someone who's failed 3 times at learning French before I actually caught on, it can be super overwhelming to find the right style of learning that works with you and how to stay motivated on your language learning journey. So I wanted to talk to you really quickly about lingoda before I jump into number 2. Now, if you've seen any of my videos before, then you've probably already heard about lingoda because I really rave about lingoda. They are the #1 online language learning school. They have very small classes. They are 100% online, so very flexible into your schedule. And they're really run by real native speaking teachers. You should really check out lingoda because they have this opportunity to personalize the way that you're learning so that you're really set up to succeed. So for example, if you prefer private classes over group classes, they have something for you. If you prefer to start with vocabulary rather than grammar, they have that as well. And what they have right now, which I think is really unique and that you should absolutely check out if it sounds interesting, is their language sprints. So right now they're going to be starting a sprint soon, and you sign up and basically you're going to commit to the number of classes that you want to take over the span of 2 months. At the beginning of the sprint, you can decide if you want to commit to 15 classes per month for 2 months or 30 classes per month for 2 months. And depending on which one you commit to, you can end up with 50% cashback or 100% cashback. So there's almost literally no excuse not to try. I put everything about the language sprint and lingoda in the YouTube description box below. Go check it out. I also have a discount code to get off of the registration. It's either $20 or 25 euros, so please go and check that out. The next word is obligatoire. So for me, obligatoire has a very simple translation into English, which is mandatory. You know, whether something is mandatory or not. And I know that you could actually say that it's also obligatoire, can be obligatory. But to be honest, I have never used this vocabulary word ever growing up in the US. Like I never heard it. Nobody ever said this is going to be obligatory. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that right, to be honest. Like maybe there's another way to pronounce it. Obligatory? No, obligatory. I don't know. Never heard it. Everybody always said mandatory. And for some reason, I forget this word all the time. Like, I don't know. You'll have to tell me in the comments below if you guys are on the same struggle bus as me, or maybe not because you grew up using obligatory and so then obligatoire has a very easy switch in your head, but I forget mandatory all the time. So I end up saying a lot to people like, yeah, I don't know, but it's not obligatoire. And then I just kind of like throw it in there because I cannot remember the word mandatory. So maybe this is very, very personal. I guess I'll find out in the comments, or maybe it's something that other people kind of have, but it's one of the very specific French words that I throw into my sentences. And if you can't speak French, it really doesn't work. Like, I mean, we end up having to be like, okay, I mean, oh, right, mandatory every time. Okay, so the next one is pas possible, which means not possible. This has a direct translation. It is very easy to say in English, but it's actually one that I love saying in French when I say it because of kind of the attitude that you get when you say it. So when you say not possible in English, it's usually like someone being like, yeah, I'm so sorry, it's not possible. Like, we can find a solution. What can we do to make this easier for you? You know, there's kind of like a whole like empathy around it. And in French, when people say pas possible, it's really like, bitch, this is not possible. There's no changing it. No, it's not possible. Like, I already told you, like, don't push me. I said pas possible. And it like really gets an attitude. And so I tend to often when I'm like wanting to say like, no, it's not possible. I'm just like, no, mais pas possible. Yeah, no, but just pas possible. And it really like rolls off my tongue. And I find myself saying this a lot when I'm talking to my toddler, which goes to show that I'm really using that inner strength inside of me to, you know, keep my word. And also at work, like when I can feel when I'm getting kind of heated about something that's going on at work or a decision that, you know, that's being taken and I don't agree with it, I'm just like muttering to myself like, pas possible, pas possible, pas possible. So I think this is more about the state of mind I get when I say it, but I tend to like to keep pas possible. Profite is my next one. I feel like this is a universal one that all foreigners love this word in French. So profite basically means taking advantage of something, but in a very positive way. So you're going to, you know, profiter of your weekend of sunshine, or you're going to profiter. My mom was just here from the US, so I'm going to profiter having my mom in France from the US, or it's just, yeah, really like positively taking advantage of something. And while you can obviously, as I just did, you know, say the exact same thing in a sentence, I think it comes out of pure laziness and also the fact that it really like rolls off into the sentence very easily most of the time. And this I don't think is going to be just me, so I'll be interested to hear what you guys say, but I hear lots of friends and people at work saying things like this, but just going like, oh yeah, I really profited from my weekend, or I hope that you're going to profite from this and that. It's just because you don't end up saying like, I really hope that you're going to positively take advantage of that moment that you'll have of sunshine, or I really hope they're positively, it's just too long. And so, yeah, I think it's laziness, but profiter really slides in there all the time. Second word is voila. So what a versatile word, our dear voila. You can kind of use voila in so many different ways in French, whether it's like, I'm here, like me voila, or whether you're talking like here or there, like voila, voila. It could also be used as kind of like satisfaction or like a success, like voila, like, you know, like I did it. And it's funny because voila actually is pretty popular. Well, it's used, I wouldn't call it common, but you can hear it in the English language. I especially think in American English where I grew up, I would sometimes hear it used kind of in like a magic show or kind of like a way of being like, ta-da, and that's how it would be used. And because you could use voila like that in French, but you can use it in so many other different ways, I tend to just keep the word. I think probably because I know that subconsciously that people will understand a bit what I'm saying, and also because I don't think that we have a word in English that really sums up all of the different things you can use voila for. And so I tend just to sprinkle it in my English vocabulary, even when I'm talking to people who don't speak French. All right, and my final one is adorer, which is a very simple translation, adore. You know, in English, I adore this, I adore that. I think the thing about adore, and when I say it in English, is that even if it reminds me a bit of maybe like the obligatory and obligatoire, in the sense that like adore does exist in the English language, but the way that I use it, I wouldn't have said before. I don't know if this is an American thing, but I never would have said like, I adore pizza, or like I adore that boy, or I adore that girl, or I adore, I don't know, the decorations. Like it sounds quite formal to me, and it's something that I use a lot now, and my family and my friends back home absolutely point it out. And I use adore a lot in French. Like when I'm speaking French, I'm going to say j'adore ça, or franchement, j'adore vraiment, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of replace it with the way in English I would say I love a lot. I say I love in English for a lot of things. It's just a side note for those of you who are dating French people, but it kind of drives my husband nuts how often I use the word love and how I can say I love you so many times in a day and to so many different types of people. And I kind of feel like adorer in French is that. And so I tend to translate it into English and then kind of slip it in ways that I wouldn't use before. So yeah, my family really, as I said, really notices that. And it's kind of like, you sound really formal. And maybe in England, like in English, the Queen's English, saying I adore is like very normal. But where I grew up, it's, yeah, I don't know. It's maybe even a bit snobby to say. I don't know, it just sounds off. So that's really a French word that I slip in there, but I would have normally replaced with love. All right, everyone, that is a wrap on the 6 French words that I tend to sprinkle and drop into English when I'm speaking. I can't wait to see in the comments what you guys like to drop. What do you keep? What do you love? What words can you not find in your native language that you absolutely keep in French? I will find you all in the comments below. Don't hesitate to check out Lingoda if you think that the language sprint could be interesting for you. As I said, you'll find everything in the YouTube description below. Have a great week. I will see everybody la semaine prochaine. Bisous!